Hi guys, Samantha from Summer Tutorials here, and today we're going to try something a little different.
Hi guys, here's the mystery box. I hope you have fun and good luck.
Okay, so that was my sister Sarah. So as you can see, we are going to be doing something different. Basically what has happened is I have gotten one of my sisters, this time it is Sarah, to fill a box with various different supplies, and I haven't had a look at this yet. And so basically the idea is we open the box, I have a look at the supplies, and then I have to make something from them. I can't add anything to the supplies other than my box of essentials, which basically is black and white clay, black and white paint, cutters, sandpaper, varnishes, beading supplies, and some very basic shaping tools. Other than that, I cannot add anything to the supplies that I have here. So I've got a full rundown of the rules in the description below the video, so check that out if you want more clarity on that. And so now we're going to open the box. So I haven't seen what's in here yet, so I don't have a preconceived idea of the project in mind. So let's see what she's given me here. Okay, so we've got some mica powders. We've got some Primo. Okay. We've got some paints. Got some more clay, and this is Kato. And we've got some shells, some texture rollers, some of the silkscreens that I supply on my Etsy store, some nail transfers, and then some texture stamps as well. Okay, so I'll put that to the side. Okay, so I'm just going to be thinking through this. So I do want to use the silk screen. This one is called Winter Gale, so it implies a snow theme. So I think maybe let's work with kind of a snow theme with that. And I do want to use image transfers if possible. And so maybe try out some of these little blue ones that we have here, and maybe go with like the first flowers coming out below the snow. That's something we could work with. Let's see, what colours of paint could we work with? We've got some blues here that would work. Maybe the green, that could work too. Let's see, it's colours of clay. I think I'm probably going to stick with the black and white clay for today. You can also work with the green mica powder, maybe the purple one as well. Let's see, texture rollers. Are there any here that I would be interested in? Not for the moment. Okay, so we'll put those extra supplies to the side for now. We might bring them back in a little while, but for now I think we're going to start working with this and forming an idea. So first I'm going to work with the silk screen. So I'm going to roll out some black clay and then let's get started. Okay, so I've got a piece of black here. Just going to bring over some plain printing paper so we can just burnish it before we use it, because I want it to be nice, flat and smooth. Okay, so while I'm doing this, let me know in the comments below, preferably after you've watched the tutorial, if you are interested in this kind of format where we do a more mystery box series. Because basically I don't have any idea what we're going to be making, so it's not really a straightforward project. It's more so you see what I do and how my mind thinks, things like that. If you were interested in this sort of thing, it wouldn't be every single video that I would make. It would probably be one in every 3 at most, so let me know in the comments below if you're interested or not. Also give me ideas in the comments for different rules. Maybe take out or allow different things, so keep that in mind as well. And so yeah, let me know what you think. Now this has got a few bits in it that I want to try to just quickly shave out. There we go. So I want a nice flat piece of clay. There we go. There we go. Alright, so now I'm going to bring over the Silkscreen, and I have not actually used this one yet, so let me just find which corner I lifted up earlier. And there we go. Okay, and keep that backing, and then let's pop this over here. Smooth down. This sort of silkscreen has a sticky backing, so it's not the same as some of the other silkscreens where they have a non-sticky backing, but it works basically the same. Okay, so I've just smoothed it over so that we have it stuck down the whole way, and then I'm going to bring over some white clay, white paint, which I am allowed, and this very light blue. So I'm just going to give the blue a good shake. Go. Okay, and I am going to start with the white. I'm just going to pop down blobs of white. Like so. And some blobs of this. Just so that we've got a little bit of variation as far as colour goes. Okay, that should be fine. Then I'll bring over the swipe. And I'm going to swipe a few times because I want the colours to merge together just a little bit. Okay. Then we will lift it up. Now I'm going to go put this into a water bath so that it can be cleaned. Okay, and there we go. So you can see how beautiful that comes out. So now I'm going to put that to the side to dry, and then I'm going to think about what we're going to be doing next with that. Okay, so for the next step I've got a piece of white, and I'm going to take the paint that I used last time, and I'm going to paint the surface of the white. So I'm just going to grab the white from before and just dab that down. And I'll do the same with this one. Just dab that down. Because I want to be working with the same colour so we have a theme. Then I'll bring over that card that I used to swipe. It's still got some paint tone on it. I'm just going to dab it around like so. And that creates quite an interesting effect. Okay, there we go. Then you're going to want that to dry completely before you move on to the next step. Okay, and that is just about dry. So you can see there, that looks quite interesting. Okay, so then I'm going to bring over these pieces over here, and what I'm going to need to do is just cut these out. So I need a pair of scissors for that. There we go. Okay, and I'll just cut in between them. Like so. There we go. And I do want some of the branches as well. Okay. And you can buy these off of eBay quite easily if you're interested in them. I used to sell them on my shop, but they're constantly changing as far as design goes, so it's very difficult to keep up with them. So you're probably going to need to have a look and see if you like any of the designs on eBay. But yeah, you can get them very easily on eBay, they're not that expensive either. I just want to cut this one out. There we go. Okay, and I might cut out a few more. Okay, and there we go. That should be fine for now. So I'm just going to pop them to the side, because when you're working with these, just realise that cutters don't cut through them very well. Even blades, unless they're very sharp, don't cut through them. So we're going to be adding them to our project last. So I'm just going to bring this over. And I want to just stretch it out a little bit, see if I can coax 1 or 2 cracks out of it. I do want to burnish it anyway. Wait until the paint is completely dry before you do this, otherwise the paper can pick it up. So just bear that in mind when you're doing this. Okay, and that will have burnished it nice and flat if there were any bumps. Okay, and now I think we're ready to start assembling something. So I'm going to bring over the silkscreen piece, which should be completely dry by now as well. There we go, and let's start working with these. Okay, so I'm going to bring over my mini circle cutters and also the 2 smallest cutters in my circle set. Okay, and I'm going to work with the 3 smallest circle cutters in my mini cutter set. I don't think I want any smaller than that. Okay, and this one I'm going to quickly burnish just slightly onto the tile so that it sticks. Okay, and these are both the exact same thickness in clay, just so that you know. Okay, and then I'm going to just take my circle cutter and I'm going to cut out pieces. Okay, and I'm just spinning so that I get a nice clean cut, because we are working with paint, and paint oftentimes does not cut as clean as I would like it to. And I'm just going to continue doing this, cutting out shapes like so. Okay, and I did decide to go 1 circle smaller. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to be very careful when we are doing this next step, because we want to try and limit distortion as much as possible. So we're going to pick this one up. Just shimmy your blade underneath, and we want to separate the circles. There we go. Keep this sheet exactly the way it is, and just move these circles onto a piece of paper off to the side so that they don't stick to your tile, like so. Right, then I'll just quickly scrape that to clean up any residue. Then we're going to repeat the exact same thing with this one. You're going to quickly shimmy it up, lift this up, being careful not to distort it. Okay, put that to the side. Grab these, and if you can, while you're doing it, just gently tap around the edges of these circles just to get rid of any paint that might be stuck on the edges. And just pop them onto the piece of paper off to the side, like so. Okay, then I'm just going to pop this to the side temporarily. I'm going to bring over another piece. I'm just going to pop these 2 onto it. Like so. Then I want you to take circles from the opposite veneer and stick them in place, like so. And because we're working on paper, it shouldn't stick too much. There we go. So you just repeat with the other one as well. Okay. Then just grab another piece of paper, and we're very firmly going to burnish this because we want all those circles to be embedded into the clay in such a way that they become one with the veneer that you stuck them into. And so that might take a little while, so you continue burnishing in a circular pattern. Do not roll. If you roll, first off, it's not going to do anywhere near as good a job as burnishing it would, and it also will distort the circles. So just burnish and repeat with the other one until you can't see any seams left. Okay. Now let's pick them up. Got to find my blade. Here we go. Just going to pick them up very gently again. Just shimmy them up. Okay. Repeat with that one. Okay. I'll just flip this so we get rid of anything. Then I'm going to bring over my form, and I just want to see if this is big enough. No, okay, cool. So we're going to join these two together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first cut the edge so that it has a nice trimmed edge, like so. And this one too, I'm going to cut a nice clean edge. And then before I join them, I'll just pop them together like so, which is where they'll sit. Then I'm going to bring over a cutter. One of these guys will work. Okay, and I'm just going to burnish this so that the pieces stick together, and then we're going to do something to make that border a little less obvious. Is that stuck down? Now I'm just thinking of one idea. I actually have two ideas for how we could do this. We could do little roses along it, or we could put circles in and twist it. I'm thinking we'll do the circles. Okay, so I'm going to work with small ones. Cut, twist, lift up. Cut, twist, lift up. And I'm just trying to get the spacing the same for each of them. Okay, and I'll show you what we're going to do in just a moment. Should do. Then we're going to lift this up and we're going to shimmy our blade under there like so, and very gently pop each one of these guys out. Keep them in order. So okay, then I'm going to transfer this very carefully. So a piece of paper again. Okay, then grab these, and when you put them in, first off just roll around the edge so that the edge is clean, but I want you to rotate them like so. So clean the edge and rotate. And repeat with all of them. Okay, then you're going to burnish that thoroughly, like before, just to smooth those all out until they have no seams. And this will break up the seam between the two veneers. Okay, there we go, that'll work. Then we're going to lift this up using our blade again, being very careful not to cut the veneer. Here we go. Let's check the back, make sure that we've got all the seams in there. Yep. And the reason for that is just because then you can see that they have the two veneers have been joined strongly. Okay, then I'm going to bring over this bracelet cuff, and I'm going to place this just about in the middle. Wrap this around like so. Okay, then gently press on the edges so that you form a outline. Like so. Don't press too hard, just enough to get an outline going. Okay, there we go. That should work. And then I'm actually going to bring over a piece of paper because I don't want to be using my fingers too much on this. And I'm just going to burnish that outline in a little more. And just work gently, because you don't want to pressure the clay too much, because otherwise you can get cracks. Just continue pressing in that outline. We're almost done, and then we're going to start trimming it. Righty, that should do. Just okay, that should do. Then I'm going to gently unroll it so it'll be safer and easier to trim it flat. Okay, then I'm going to bring over a blade, and we're going to trim like so. And bear in mind that we are going to be putting a backing on this after it's been baked. So the backing doesn't have to look fantastic right at this moment. There we go. Then we will lift that up. And then place this down, and then we're going to carefully wrap around the outside. Like so. There we go. Then using your fingers again, press it on so that it's properly stuck onto the bangle. Okay, and then we're going to trim up those sides in just a moment. Trimming it beforehand just means that we will have more control and there'll be less likelihood of there being cracks or anything like that. Okay, and right now I'm just gently beveling over the edge, like so. So you can see that the making a bracelet does take a little bit of time and effort, but the results are really nice. I really like how this is looking. Okay, then we're going to bring over our tissue blade, and we are going to start trimming. There we go. Repeat on the other side. I'm just showing you the whole process so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm just pressing down this end again because some of the clay did lift up. I don't want the clay sticking very much to the cuff anyway, because ultimately later on we are going to be taking off the cuff, so if it's stuck too much that's going to pose a problem later. So it's alright that it's not sticking completely to the cuff, we just want it there for the shape. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to trim these corners, being very careful again. Okay. And I'm just making sure that I trimmed everything properly. Yes. Alright, then I'm not going to fuss with that too much. I'm going to just gently tap down these sides if we need to, because some of the paint might have peeled up a little bit when we were trimming. Okay, but don't fuss with it too much. Just want to make sure that we have a nice clean finish. That's essentially all you need to do. Okay, and I think we're good. Alright, so then we're going to put that into the oven for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature, and then when we're done we would take this off of the cuff once it has completely cooled. Then we're going to be putting a backing on, and I think that's where we're going to be using the transfers. We might not even use the transfers, we'll have to see. Okay, so here it is out of the oven. So now we're just going to peel it off this thing, and it should come off very easily, like so. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly grab a blade. I'm very gently just going to go around the edges and just take off any little stray bits of clay that might be there. Okay, and now you might see that this clay is flexible. That is completely normal. It means that it has been baked properly. The clay should be flexible to a certain degree. If it's not flexible and is all brittle, then you have not baked it properly. Right, there we go. Now we're going to make the backing quickly. So what you're going to need is a long piece of black clay, which I have rolled out on the same setting as the sheets I did before. All of them up until now have been about 1 millimeter thick. Then I'm just going to quickly burnish this to make sure it's nice and flat and smooth and such. Okay. Right. Then I'm going to grab this, and I'm just going to start from one end, and I'm going to roll. Okay, and it's on the paper at the moment, but that's fine. Just pressing very lightly, just so that we form a indentation. Then we're going to peel that black clay away from the cuff, and that's going to give us an outline to work with. Okay, so I'm just going to cut away this excess. There we go. And then I am going to cut slightly outside of these lines, just so we have a little bit of extra clay to work with. And all this excess you obviously can just pop back with your clay. There we go. Right, then I'm going to flip it because that side will look nicer. I'm going to give it another burnish because we might have got some marks on it. Just make sure it's nice and smooth to start with. Right. There we go. There's just one line along here. Then we're going to take the paint that we used from before, that blue and white paint. Now I've just got it. I'm going to shake it a bit. Then grab that, and I'm going to drop down drops like I did before. Okay. Going to do the same with the blue. And bear in mind that this tutorial can be done with any silkscreen, it can be done with any colours. It's a fairly easygoing tutorial, so feel free to play around. Okay, then I'm going to use my finger this time to blot it around, like so. Okay, and I'll go back and make sure that I've got the sides in marked, but doing this creates a very interesting pattern. Okay, then just make sure that you go back and you make sure that you get paint along those edges. Like so. And of course this needs to dry before we can use it. Okay, so you can see it's an interesting pattern. I'm going to go back over it and just make sure that I've got plenty of interesting spots. I also don't want areas where the paint's particularly clumped up. Okay, then let that dry. There we go, it's mostly dry. So I'm just going to take a piece of paper and slide this over the surface so that we can absorb any paint that might not be completely dry. And this might pull off some of the paint as well, which will create an interesting effect. If you don't want that, make sure that it is completely dry before you move on to this part. So there you can see it pulled off a teeny bit of paint there. So I'll smooth that back down and allow that to dry, and then we should be good to move on to the next part. Okay, and so for the next step, I'm going to bring over these transfers that we have. Remove the plastic film that is on top of them, and just take them and put them image side down onto the clay. And I will just do that with all of them. You just remove that plastic film, like so, and you can discard the plastic film. And just place them image side down onto the clay, and repeat with all of them. Okay, and once they're all down, take a rag, make sure that it's wet. I'm just going to place this down, and I'm going to bring over some more water just to drop on this, because I like to make sure that this is controlled. But you basically want it to be pretty damp, then you bring over some water. Okay, so I've got a bit of water here. Just going to drop it directly onto wherever the transfers are. Because these have to be soaking wet to work. Okay, and that rag should hopefully suck up most of the water. Okay, then you're just going to leave them like that, let them soak in that water for a while. I'd say probably, let's say maybe around a minute, not much longer than that. Okay, that should be done by now. I'm just going to lift this up, and I'm going to bring over a craft knife to help me out with this. And we want to lift these up very gently, and they should leave an image down. Okay, and if you lift up one and the image is kind of crackly and some of it comes off on the paper, leave it for a little bit longer, place it back down, leave it a little longer, and let the water soak through. And there we go. Now with these image transfers, they are fairly translucent, so putting them on black you probably wouldn't be able to see a huge amount of them, so that's why I've painted it as well, because you would not be able to see them otherwise. So just keep that in mind when you are working with them. So you can see there how the ones on the white show up pretty well, whereas one on the blue over here, that one doesn't show up as well. And it depends on how dark the pieces are as well. If the darker they are, the more visible they'll be. Okay, and we're almost done. There we go. Now I want you to let that dry, because that paint has been wet again. and then once it's dry we can then apply it to our bangle. Okay, so now I'm just going to lift that up. Actually I should be using a blade to do that. A little hard because the paper's a teeny bit wet. Just lift it up carefully, like so. I'll just bring over this because I need to quickly wipe up that paint that was still wet. Okay. Alright, so there we go. That's all ready to go. Then we're going to bring this over, and I'm going to bring over a little bit of translucent liquid clay, which is allowed. Just gonna drop it a bit in, and that was Kato translucent liquid clay. Any will work though. I'm just going to rub that over the surface so that we have a nice sticky surface to work with, and just make sure that the entire cup is covered in it. You only want a light cover, you don't want a huge amount of liquid clay because you don't want the backing that we're going to be putting on to slide around all over the place. So just bear that in mind. Okay, then once we've done that, I'm just going to grab this and we're going to place that in, and we should have a bit of extra clay to work with. Okay, and just stick it down. Like so. Okay, we don't have a huge amount of extra clay, which is good because I don't want to waste a bunch of stuff, but we have enough that we can easily work this. So now pinch it along these sides, like so. And if the paint crackles, that's fine. And then we will trim it. Right, I'm gonna grab my blade, and then I'm just going to start trimming, like so. Remove the excess, flip, begin trimming again. There we go. And then we do the edges. Okay, and we can smooth out any areas that aren't quite right later on. Just for now, get rid of the bulk of it. Okay, there we go. Alright, now we're going to smooth this out. So that means that you press along the sides here so that we get kind of a bevel going. Like so. Now I'm not trying to push it out, I'm pushing it in towards the bangle so that when I smooth it over it's going to be level, but it's going to have a nice smooth edge to it. Okay, and just repeat that along all sides, pressing like so and then smoothing. Okay, and there we go. So you can see the inside there looks really nice. So now I'm going to pop this back into the oven, just sitting it on the oven like so, and I'm going to bake it for another full hour at pretty much recommended temperature. And then when we're done, we're going to be doing a little bit of sanding around these edges just to get them cleaned up. And then we're going to be sealing this. Okay, and here it is out of the oven. Now I've given the sides a quick sand with a 400 grit sandpaper just to clean them up, get rid of any bits that I might not have liked, like just really smudges. I'm quite happy with the design. I don't really want to be doing a smear along the sides. You could do that if you want, but I quite like that there's interspersed white patches. So again, that's kind of up to you if you want to have that or not, but I quite like it. You can see there the pattern on the inside, and you can see this is flexible. You should be able to flex it like this because the clay is baked. If you cannot, then it means that you haven't baked your clay properly. Now obviously I wouldn't recommend doing this if there's no give, so what you would start just before you get out the oven, after the cuff is out of the oven, you would let it cool entirely, and then you would take it and you gently press on it, and if it's starting to give like this without there being any stress on the middle, because that's where the break point would be, then it's nice and flexible and you can give it a little bit more of a pull. But if it's not giving and you can feel that there's a bit of stress down this end, then you want to bake it at a higher temperature for another 40 minutes. That's quite important. Now I don't really want to be putting any varnish on this. We have baked that paint in, and so it's well stuck on there, as you can see. And we don't have any mica powder or anything like that, so I'm not going to seal it. It's pretty much fine as it is. But you could put some Varathane on, Renaissance wax, UV resin, whatever you want. But I really like the raw look, so I'm going to keep it the way it is. So yeah, basically that is it for the tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments below. Also bear in mind to let me know whether you like the mystery box idea. I have lots of ideas for going forward with it, but if it wasn't that interesting to you and you prefer the regular way we do tutorials, please let me know in the comments below. I'm perfectly happy to not do the mystery box again. It was just a tryout, so be sure to let me know. And as always, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.